Learn today's breaking news around Mudryk as we are entering talks with Shakhtar Donetsk to sign the winger from Arsenal's hands. To move on, we discussed the latest Enzo Fernandez updates as we learned that last night all parties were in London continuing negotiations. And to end things, we actually talk Marcus Thuram because are we looking to make a surprise move to sign the forward in January? Honestly, we have a ton of things to break down and discuss. This January window is set to go down in the history books. It's an absolute mazza. Please share your thoughts and opinions about our spending power during this month and who you're hoping we can get signed before this window closes. Hit that like button if you're enjoying the content, get involved in the comments, and getting straight with the first story. Now, before we continue on, there is a new episode of the Last Man Standing series on BetVictor's YouTube channel. So right now, I'm going to play you guys a very brief clip.
I think Chelsea went out and backed Tuchel and then sacked him after they brought all these lads in. You know, Koulibaly comes in, Raheem Sterling. These are players in their prime, ready to go. The kind of age bracket that Liverpool could have done with. Liverpool are a couple of points ahead of Chelsea. Chelsea are behind Brighton. That is hugely embarrassing.
Now, is this a fair discussion in the episodes? Maybe. You know, on one hand, we've spent ridiculous amounts of money in this window to be in this position in the league. Yet on the other hand, we have to understand that, you know, this was the transition year. We've seen decline since last season. We needed to shake things up, revamp things, and revamping takes a lot of time. We're doing those things. We're signing the players we need to sign in January, and we're slowly rephasing and restructuring our teams. So listen, of course, in the short term, these are embarrassing results, but I think in the long term, we'll look back at this time with completely different eyes and be very appreciative of the fact that this was the season to put us back on the map for the future. So make sure you guys watch the full episode on BetVictor's YouTube channel. You'll find a link below in the description and in the card above. So right now, let's discuss the latest Enzo Fernandez updates. Now, we learned from Fabrizio Romano that late last night, talks continued all throughout the night. Now at this point in time, Enzo Fernandez has made things absolutely crystal clear. He only wants to leave Benfica to sign for us. He wants to sign for us in January, and now he's confirmed things with Benfica's manager. So Benfica are in a situation where it makes no sense to keep an unhappy player. It makes sense to cash in on him right now when his value is absolutely peaked. And for me, I think it's really promising signs now that figures from Benfica are in London now to talk about how this deal can get wrapped up. Now, we do know that Rui Costa was there, Jorge Mendes, plus Chelsea owners too, to hopefully get this deal wrapped up. And some details have emerged about the conversations that took place in last night's negotiations. Now, it has been reported that conversations last night centered around payment structure. Now, consider this, in this Enzo Fernandez deal, the player will earn money from this deal. Benfica will earn money as well too. River Plate will own up to 25% of the overall transfer value, as well as the other Argentinian club that I think, he originally came from all those years back. So you can see how complicated and difficult things will be. All interested parties need to understand how they're going to get paid. Will that be paid off in installments to clubs like River Plate and I think Defensor in Argentina? Or are we going to look to do installment plans for every single interested party? So you can see why, a bit of TLC now, a bit of care now is needed to hopefully get this deal wrapped up and hopefully we secure Enzo Fernandez in this same window. Now, records from Portugal have also reported that they feel like this deal is drawing closer and closer, and there have been many Argentinian reporters late last night confirming the fact that an agreement had been found, but nothing is official at this point in time. Now, these are all extremely positive reports because before, some reports in Portugal were suggesting that Benfica was still adamant that if he wanted to sign Enzo, you must pay the full amount of money in his release clause, but that doesn't seem to make any sense. And in my opinion, I feel like our efforts to sign Enzo, there are some parallels and similarities with how we signed Wesley Fofana from Leicester City. At the time, Leicester City wanted a ridiculous amount of money paid for, but with the efforts of Fofana, who made it very clear and known that he wanted to leave Leicester to sign for us, that put Leicester in a very difficult position where they lost out on a lot of their bargaining power, which meant that we could sign Fofana for a fee that we felt more comfortable parting with compared to the fee that Leicester City wanted. So in the end, we signed him for around £69 million. And I kind of feel like we're keeping the same energy now for Enzo Fernandez. I bring this up because a part of me feels like after consuming all these reports and stories that we have moved on from Benfica's like strong demands that they want the money paid up in front. I think they're now willing to work on the right installment package that satisfies all parties. For me, it feels like a breakthrough is incredibly close right now. Hopefully by the end of this week, we've secured the signing of Enzo Fernandez, and hopefully by next week, he becomes a Chelsea player. So you guys, share your thoughts and opinions. Are you excited? Or are you worried that this deal potentially could still collapse? Anyway, we discussed the breaking story of this late afternoon. And now it's time to talk Mykhailo Mudryk. There have been so many reports coming out from the UK from major publications like The Guardian, recently The Athletic, plus many reports as well too. So this is substantial real news. And right now we are looking to beat Arsenal to the race to sign Mudryk from Shakhtar Donetsk. We've made things incredibly clear to Shakhtar that we will improve any offer that Arsenal makes. We will improve the transfer value and in terms of personal terms too, because Arsenal right now have agreed on a 5-year contract worth up to 120,000 a week with Mudryk. We could easily eclipse this, and we have the financial might to break through and win this deal. Not gonna lie, I'm liking the confidence and the bullish nature behind how we're moving right now. You know, we have a reputation in London, and I do feel like we have a habit of kind of bullying our rivals around us. You know, this season I'm not too happy that Arsenal are like clear at the top of the league. It's confusing me. So in a sense, even beating Arsenal to the signing of Mudryk weakens their title efforts potentially. And I'm not gonna lie, you guys, the last thing I want to see is Arsenal winning the Premier League again. Now currently Arsenal can't find a final agreement with Shakhtar Donetsk. They've had 2 bids turned down right now. Their recent bid was a 40 million base fee plus 20 million in installments, taking the deal to around 60 million, which was turned down by Shakhtar. Now ideally, Shakhtar want to earn around 100 million euros in this deal, which is around 88 to 85 million pounds. Arsenal feel like Shakhtar could sell for closer to around 70 to 75 million, but we feel like we can find an agreement closer to the valuation that Shakhtar have placed on Mudryk. Now at this point in time, Arsenal still feel very confident that the player ideally prefers to sign for them. Now we've seen throughout social media recently that Mudryk has hinted towards his favour of signing for Arsenal, but at the time, we weren't really in the picture. We didn't make our intent as clear and obvious. We're making things absolutely obvious right now, and I do personally feel like a player like Mudryk isn't going to easily turn us down if we offer him the right terms. But anyway, before I move on to giving my thoughts and opinions, we have even bigger news to discuss before I move on. This came out recently from The Athletic, and they report that at this point in time, Shakhtar's chief executive has flown down into London right now to hold talks with us. Maybe I have to say thank you to Arsenal, of course, by your very public negotiations to try and sign him. You've given us that window of opportunity now to jump in and just not waste any time in terms of hopefully finding an agreement with Shakhtar to sign him. So, wow, big things are happening right now. I mean, who would have thought during January that we'd be looking at 2 players worth nearly 100 million euros? It's absolutely sensational. And listen, there's probably different conversations you could have about, you know, the state of the game and how, you know, the influx of money has overinflated values in the market right now. I think there's a conversation there. But right now, I want to focus entirely on Mudryk. Why exactly are we making a move to sign him? I think it comes down to this. Obviously, Graham Potter in his press conference today kind of just realistically and honestly mentioned the fact that, you know, before good things come, you have to suffer. And obviously that's the case. I mean, that is like a principle of life. You can apply that to anything. If you want to get anywhere, it comes with a bit of suffering. And I think the reality simply is that a lot of us have all known for a long time now, our squad is not well matched to really fight for the Premier League title. It's too mismanaged. There's too many profiles that don't make sense. It is going to take a sacrificial period of time to be able to retune the squads into a squad that suits a particular style of football. With Graham Potter currently, he's put a lot of work in on a 4-3-3. It does feel like 4-3-3 is the way forward for us in the future, but to make it work, we need that midfield player in Enzo Fernandez, and most importantly, the 2 wingers. Now, recently, I think Raheem Sterling has been quite decent, playing in a more natural right-wing position. But on the left-hand side, I've been looking at Christian Pulisic, and I feel like he's lost a bit of explosiveness. I feel like he's a bit too weak. He's not necessarily turning his man, and I feel like a lot of defenders now can catch up with him when he explodes away. In comes Mudryk. Stylistically, with how he's used at Shakhtar, I think he would just match and suit things perfectly if he played for us. You know, Graham Potter wants to have his two wingers outside the opposition fullbacks. By doing that, you stretch the defensive line, you draw their attention, and you open up the half spaces and spaces between the lines. For that to really work to the highest level though, you need a winger that has incredible explosion and pace, who has goal threat, that can just turn on the half turn, get past two players and put a cross inside the box. There needs to be a lot of explosiveness and speed. And let's be serious, you could argue that we are missing Timo Werner for the main reason that when he used to play for us, he would force back the opposition defensive line. He would push them back. He would allow us to play further up the field, and he would give us that counter-attacking presence too. We need that. To be a devastating counter-attacking team, we need to have two pacey wingers on the left and on the right. And for me, Mudryk just makes a lot of sense in terms of profile, and I would actually complement our team. Still though, that little cynical part of me kind of feels like, listen, imagine hypothetically if like an Amari Hutchinson was, you know, playing in the Ukrainian division. Imagine what his transfer value would be like right now, a player of his quality playing in a weaker division. I still think the money is absolutely outrageous, but Mudryk could be that generational talent coming out from Ukraine. It's kind of looking like that in terms of the stats, his FBRF profile, in terms of how he plays, the explosiveness, the skill. Yes, not many wingers are doing it to the highest level like he is right now. And I'd imagine that if we're making a move for him, that's based on scouting and data analysis. That's based on recommendations from the new staff hires that have come in. And right now I'm in a place where I'm trusting what's happening, and I'm not going to have super strong judgments at this point in time. So you guys, are my thoughts and opinions. How do you feel about the news? Let us all know below. Right now, let's end things by discussing the final report, and we talk Marcus Thuram. Now, this story comes courtesy of Simon Phillips. I know Simon and the guys, you know, they're really good guys and put out a lot of genuine and real stories, give us a lot of good transfer insight recently, and obviously I just wanted to shout them out if I'm going to be discussing their story that they dropped. Anyway, with Thuram's contract expiring very soon, the player is available for less than 20 million. It's alleged that Borussia Mönchengladbach would take between 10 to 15 million to sell him right now. And after seeing his impressive cameo performances for France at the World Cup, the fact that this is a guy that can play up front, can play in a two, and can play down either flank as well too. Listen, the Thuram family have a bit of a legacy going on right now. Of course, Lilian Thuram was an incredible defender, and all his sons now are doing absolute bits in football. I'm also thinking about the young son who's playing for Nice. I forgot his first name, but there's some real talents coming from that family. Anyway, Simon Phillips reports that he is now on our attacking target shortlist for this window. And you'd imagine for a valuation that is so little and so low. I mean, deeper like this, yeah, you could sign Marcus Thuram, or you could pay that exact same amount of money to sign João Felix on loan for literally 4 or 5 months. I mean, come on, does that even make any sense? Right now, we have made initial inquiries with Borussia Mönchengladbach to understand how a deal can take place, and I guess we'll figure out whether Thuram is also interested in signing for us. Reports are Bayern Munich also paying great attention towards the services too, so he is going to be a bit of a popular player, especially considering the price he's available for. Anyway, clubs feel like he will be attainable this month. I feel like if any move was to happen for him, it would happen later down the January window. Let's watch this space. I feel like it could be an interesting signing to make, and let's see what happens as the story progresses. So you guys, right now I'm going to wrap things up, keep things moving. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the videos. Hit that like button, supports the channel so much. And on that note, I'm the EFC, this is Blue Lions TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.